the company that I work for is solely owned by a gentleman who is a retired lieutenant colonel in the Air Force. His name is Ron Adler. Ron's been in the business with his father. His father started the business in 1982, so they've been in business for a long, long time. We sell more museum glass than anybody. I don't know whether it's because of our location, but everybody in my shop is committed to it. We would never think to assume when you walked in the door that you couldn't afford it. You could be the shabbiest person in the world. As a matter of fact, I have a customer who is, and she's also the richest. So you never can assume what people are willing to spend for a fine quality product. And I just assume that that's what they're going to use. I don't see as having to sell it. I explain the virtues of both pieces of glass. I explain if you're going to be hanging a piece of artwork in a shop or in your home where there is any kind of light that you really need to have museum glass for the reflection, anti-reflective features of it. But to me, it's just a tie-in. It's a natural extension of framing good things. I don't give them much of a choice. We only do three things. We do conservation control, yes. We do museum glass, and we do conservation reflection control. They're the only three glasses we sell in our shop. We don't, if you're going to be a fine framer, you don't sell regular glass. You just can't do it. Your reputation gets tarnished as far as I'm concerned. The last thing I talk about is glass. And I say I'm putting the most important thing last. And I stress the importance of the glass. Because if the glass is not good, you could have a $5,000 frame on there and your artwork is going to die. Whereas if you took a $50 frame and you put museum glass on it, it's going to last forever. They certainly do say, oh my goodness, I didn't even realize there was glass in there. And invariably they touch it. So at the end of the day, we're always cleaning the samples off. Because it's very hard to believe. It does not look like there's glass in there. While they're working with me, that display is right in front of them. It's right to the right of where they sit, or where they're standing when they're talking to me. So it's in their face the whole time. And not until the very end, when I get to the point where I'm going to explain glass, do I actually pull it forth and show it to them. I think my biggest challenge is what I told you, trying to convince people that their items are worth framing the best way they can do it. I could not imagine putting together a $600 shadow box of someone's life. We do a lot of military shadow boxes. I couldn't imagine putting together a shadow box without using museum glass, because they're never going to take that out of there. It's going to remain there. They're going to pass it down to their children and their children's children, and that's the way it's going to be. So you might as well use what we know now is the best thing on the market to be able to carry that idea forth. It's just simply the best. I mean, you don't skimp for $100 or so when you're dealing with a very important project. When we first got museum glass in the shop, people did not buy into it. I was probably the only one who did, and I was selling it right and left. And I said, you have to be convinced before you can sell this stuff. You have to be convinced that this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. This is the greatest thing on the market, which it is. And you've got to convince yourself first before you can do that. Well, they can't afford it. It's a tremendous amount of money. When people come in and they're doing 4 and 5 things, I said, don't sell your customer short. You cannot do that.